All right, hope everyone's Friday is going well. Just here with you for the third edition of Freedom Friday. I took some time trying to think about what I wanted to go over on this Friday concerning freedom, and it kind of hit me as I was wearing my shirt here, it says End the Fed, that taxes would be an appropriate topic. And I know some of you might have got a tax return back and you might be excited about the tax return and feels like a little extra bonus. And some of you probably had to file taxes if you're a business owner and you had to write a check to the government. And so wanted to touch and take a couple minutes about taxes. And I've posted some stuff on Facebook recently about taxes, just kind of, where they go and how they're spent, and the different rates and things like that. And one of the things that always amazes me is how regularly Americans just kind of accept how our government treats taxes. We get taxes taken out of our paychecks, and if you've worked a employee job like most people, it's pretty significant when you start to make whether it's a salary pay, and you look at how much in taxes is taken out. It's pretty significant. I had a job where I had taxes taken out of my checks. I don't anymore. I kind of pay them at the end of the year on my own. But you look at how much money gets taken out, and you think to yourself, how much better would families be if they could have kept that money and it wasn't taken out? So if you don't know, I wanted to give you some ideas on where that money that is taken out of your check or that you pay at the end of the year, where does all of that actually go? And there's some cool things I'm going to post in the links here at the in the bottom of the comments section, where you'll be able to take a look. But most people, whether they be liberal leaning or conservative leaning, there's a general consensus about where each tax dollar goes, or around what percentage. And there's three major areas where our tax dollars are spent. Those areas are interest on federal debt, military spending, and health and social benefits, really. So Medicare, Medicaid, and any of the social safety net programs like food stamps or unemployment, Social Security, things like that. And so, it's always interesting, as around election time, you're going to see a bunch of Republicans talking about how we need to be fiscally conservative. And what's so funny about that is there are very few Republicans that are actually fiscally conservative. Most of them want to cut social safety net programs like food stamps or unemployment, things like that, but they never want to cut, say, defense spending. They want to pinch pennies on education, but they don't want to be involved less around the world and spend less money on whether it be new defense or whether it be bases overseas. You never really hear them talk about that. One of the major problems I think that we have as a society is, if you were to be a Republican and say that you wanted to cut defense spending, all the other Republicans and Fox News media would criticize you for being weak on defense. They would say, oh, Chris, he wants to cut defense spending. He's going to hurt our national security. And they use these scare tactics to say, that we're all of a sudden going to become, very vulnerable to attacks if we decide to cut defense spending by, say, 1%. And so that's kind of one of the issues that I think's out there. If a Democrat says, hey, I think we need to look at cutting social safety net programs. We're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on these. Is there a way to make these more efficient? Well, the liberal media is going to paint them as being, not really taking into consideration enough how poor somebody may be, how poor someone may be, or how much help someone may need. And they're really gonna attack them for that. So I think you've got a lot of people maybe who are in government who want to solve these problems, but they get crucified in the media if they go against maybe what their party would do. And so right now, for every dollar that you pay in taxes, 27 cents goes to the military spending, goes to defense spending. That to me is just absolutely incredible. And what a lot of people don't know is the United States spends more money on defense than the next closest 10 countries combined if you were to take the next 10 countries and combine their defense spending, we still spend more money than those 10 countries. And a lot of those countries are allies of ours. So a lot of people find that to be a massive amount. You look at Medicare and health spending. Right now, 15 cents of every dollar in tax money goes to the interest on the national debt. So we're currently at $18 trillion in a national debt. So because we have so much money that we owe, that interest is continuing to grow, and that's just money that we're wasting. And a lot of people, many libertarians and some Republicans favor, a balanced budget amendment that, would say that we can't do any types of deficit spending, that we only should be spending what we take in. And so, I would encourage you to really look at the numbers on this. Democrats and Republicans are going to tell you that, there's no way we can have cuts, and that, we're really tight. Our budget's really tight. Well, the reality is our government is taking in more money than it ever has in the history of the entire country. And we're taking in close to anywhere from $2 to $3.5 trillion a year, and then we're spending more than that. We're spending $3 or $4 trillion, on certain budgets. And so right now, 2.5 cents goes to education. So out of the dollar, 2.5 cents goes to education. You've got 1 cent going to science, 1.5 cents going to energy and environment per dollar, 2 cents on transportation. So, you look at this and imagine if Americans could decide where their tax dollars went. Think about that for a second. Instead of you just kind of sending your money to the government and saying, well, there it goes, imagine you being able to say when you were to fill out your taxes, or before you take a new job, you fill out a little sheet that says, hey, I want, if for every one of my tax dollars, I want 20 cents to go to the military, I want 20 cents to go to social safety net programs, I want 20 cents to go to education instead of 2 cents. Think about, how really, I guess, more satisfied Americans, or you might be, if you could pick where your tax dollars went. I find it amazing that we pay as much as we do in taxes, and then we don't even really have a say in where they go. So some of the things out there, guys, look into the flat tax. Flat tax is pretty much saying, every American will be taxed at the same rate. And it amazes me when I hear people say, well, rich people need to pay their fair share. You hear that all the time. If you watch MSNBC or you read Huffington Post or some of these other liberal media outlets, you always hear the rich people got to pay their fair share. They're being greedy. And, I think all of us, if we were asked of whether we could be billionaires or trillionaires, would probably say yes. I wouldn't mind that, but what's crazy, and what they regularly don't tell you, is that 84% of all the taxes paid in America come from the top 20% of earners in the United States. There's actually, if you look at the bottom half of earners in the United States, they don't pay any taxes. They don't earn enough to necessarily qualify to pay taxes. Now, that's a terrible thing. I would rather that half of Americans be earning enough to where they could pay taxes. So I think that says something, number one, about our economy. But before we say, hey, rich people are being greedy and need to pay their fair share, we got to realize that if it weren't for them, we would probably be in a serious issue, because they pay 84% of all of those taxes come from the top fifth of the earners in the United States. So the people that are earning those unemployment benefits, or that are earning, Social Security, that aren't necessarily contributing, to the tax revenues, it's coming from those people. So a lot of people are in favor of the flat tax. You're going to see that come up in the election. The candidate who I'm supporting, Rand Paul, he supports a flat tax of 17%, which pretty much means that every person in the United States, whether you work at McDonald's, or you are Warren Buffett and you make billions of dollars, or you are, earn the average amount, which is close to $50,000 in America, that you would pay 17%. Everyone pays 17%. That to me sounds like a lot more of a fair proposal than somebody paying 0% and someone else paying, 35% of their income. 17% is still high for me. I would the lower it is, the better. But you're going to see that out there. So just wanted to talk about that. Hopefully not everyone had a painfully bad tax season, but I'm going to post some of the articles and post some of the links. Take a look at those. Let me know what you're thinking and what your thoughts are on taxes, and if you have any questions. And yeah, appreciate you watching. See ya.